Ahoy and welcome. I am the Pirate Tester, and welcome to Tuesday Night Testing. If this is your first time here, I am Lee. I'm a software tester for over a decade now, and I thought testing isn't out in the world enough, so I wanted to make it more visible. So I thought I would stream how I test a website or some other products I get access to. With Tuesday Night Testing, I use either websites which are publicly available or that I have been and designed to be tested on, or where I have been given permission to do some testing on it. And hello Lisa, nice to see you here. We will arrange some joint testing at some point. So today I am going to be testing a website called Exit23 Games. This is a site connected to a real life business, and as such I will make sure I won't try to break a real life business. And I know I think he's a co-owner. I will probably get the details not fully correct, so but it's from a former manager of mine and good friend of mine called Christopher Chant, and they do, you'll see what they do miniatures and paints, that kind of thing. Ahoy Benny, welcome to the chat and today's session. So let us kick it off, and boom. So when I load the site, this is what I see. I immediately get an overlay asking if I would like a discount on my first order, and the chat is open straight away. So my first thought is, if someone was on a screen reader, what can they do? So if I'm pressing tab, I briefly saw these light up. But yeah, tabbing through disappears, and then eventually at the bottom of my screen I see like links coming up and so forth. Ooh, that's why I have to really, because the downside to me only doing this one phone, I don't get to see all the chat that's going on. So hi Deborah and hi Richard, nice to see you both here as well. Thanks for joining me today. So yes, so my immediate thought is, if I needed to tab through on my want your 11% off your first order, it's not great, but we'll get rid of that. Do I want cookies? No. I don't have an order yet to track. I could write in a message. I don't want to end up breaking their chat and filling it with rubbish. If I was to fill it with rubbish, I've previously shown this before, but I love this Chrome plugin. It's fantastic. It is called Bug Magnet, and it's useful if you want to have a preset amount of different types of text and so forth you can go in. And a big one I like is text size. Can I put in an obscene amount of text? Yeah. And if I do, I don't see a scroll bar for the text. I can click on my mouse and scroll up and down. Oh, my character limit is reached. I am really curious now. What is the character limit I have reached? So I will briefly come out of full screen mode. So let's have a look at our detail. Tool workout. There we go. So it's handled 65,537 characters. Who is the chat powered by? Third party feels like intercom, but then they all do. You feel that's priority over the website. I wouldn't necessarily say it's a priority to be Richard. It's more the fact that it was there. Yeah, it doesn't have like a powered by or anything there on it, but it is since they put it there, boom, a great chance. And because of the nature of the site, there probably wouldn't be much opportunity to show off things like Bug Magnet, so I thought, whilst it's there, a pleasing distraction. So yeah, so it's not controlled by them, but it's still on their site. So observation. where a large amount of text is added to the chat box, there is no scroll bar displayed. And yay for autocorrectable text. So I will close that off. The data imported to the that could cause a problem for their DB. And yeah, it could be. So let's have a look. It is a very colourful site. So we have lots of drop downs that automatically open as we hover over them. We have a box banner that can be closed down. Colourful text. Pictures that change as you hover over them. I am an observation straight away is these ones, they go from a picture of the products to an image, a stylized image of the product. But for some reason 4D shifted glasses, 4D glasses turbo shift acrylic paint, which is a mouthful of a name, is the opposite way round. So we'll mark it down. It might not be a bug, it might be by choice, but it might be something they hadn't noticed, considered, or even knowing why it's behaving like that. Hover is interesting for tablet and mobile users. Yeah, and the downside to me doing this on my desktop is I don't get to necessarily do all those kind of things. In the last stream I did bring up DevTools so I could have it do mobile behavior, but that still doesn't give you the same tactileness if I need to touch it versus a mouse. And because of how I'm saying I'm streaming a specific browser window, it doesn't show DevTools, and I don't want to risk showing all the other stuff I have on my desktop because I've got like OBS Studio and so forth, so I can't do stuff like that as much as I would like, but I will mark it down as a note. On the home page, the products, let's make sure we get the right name. Can I select the name? No, right, 4D glasses. 4D glasses. The default image is the stylized product, and hovering over changes to actual, whereas the other products adjacent to this are the opposite, causing this to be the odd one out. So right now I'm not necessarily looking at priority things. I'm more of, these are just my initial observations, and then once I've had a first pass at the homepage, then I'll go, right, what kind of direction do I want to go with this? So again, in the past I've used Wave to look at first glance accessibility things, and with Deborah Reed's in the chat, accessibility is always a thing that comes onto my mind. And look at the chat, this is all to do with little paints and plastic toy soldiers and so forth. So for people who are aware of Games Workshop products, it's similar and alternatives to that. A lot of the items you can use can be used with it. So we have some products, we have some options. I can give feedback. How would you rate your experience? Try Hotjar. So straight away I see there's a third-party thing. Okay. Hovering over these doesn't change, but the box goes from pink to black. They're carbon neutral. This feels like it's like wants to put in text. It's not, but it has that feel of like, please put text here or do something with me. The style of that doesn't feel like it matches the rest of the site. So they have an image advert. Ooh. I have little bars so I can move it along. But if I click and drag, I can go across as well. That's interesting. I feel like that's straight away makes me think of more of a mobile behaviour and a tablet where I can slide across. Then they have a bunch of... so if I hover over this die symbol, and if anyone can find a 23-sided polyhedral, power to you. It goes lighter to show I'm hovering over it, and it changes to a hand. How close can I get? Okay, so I can get about that close, and it changes to a hand, even though I'm far away from it. So, yeah, the box is that big. But it changes. Yeah, correct. So we have some links at the bottom. Exit23 games, designed by who it's designed by. All people accept. So they take payment options. The payment can either be in GBP or euros. They don't take anything else. It's a UK-based company, as you can see from the address in the registered office. It is based in Wales, for those who might not be aware, and I am not even going to hazard a guess at trying to do these. I will horribly insult all the Welsh speakers that I know, so I know not to try. Alright, so that is my first thought, observation. So I'm going to click into the address bar at the top, and I'm going to start tabbing through and see what happens. So if I tab to Relic Blade, if I press down, I don't get the options. I only get them if I hover over it. Okay. I can tab through to say I'm looking through all the search bar, login option, shopping cart, the option to close that mini banner, press space, cool, gets rid of it, get to the shop. So I get the image, then the text, then the C product option. Okay, paint, paint. Ground is lava shifting color acrylic paint. Acrylic paint, acrylic paint. The downside, I think, look at, because I've got this on my phone so I can keep an eye on you all. More of a content, right, from Richard, more of a content bug, but some of the images aren't square, which makes the sale logo look out of place. Where were we? I was mainly like, for this one, it feels like a low grade image that's been stretched out. Is that the one you mean? We'll come back. Right, so where was I? Right. Tap. Right. So we get the products. Hovering over the price does sort of something. It treats it like I'm hovering over this entire section. I can't tab to the reviews. I can't select the reviews. I'm guessing I have to go into the product. So from C products, I go to, it hovers over some text on this review. So tabbing through. So the first time it seems to be tabbing into these images, annoying, it doesn't show like the hyperlink I've got in the bottom corner. The active colour on the C product is unpleasant. What, when it goes from pink to black? I don't know if it's just to help it be more distinctive. Again, this is all for feedback that I hope Chris, if he's not able to be here right now, is able to watch and be like, I can pass this along to the appropriate people. So yeah, when I'm tabbing through, I can see where things are lit up. It's strange that if you tab through to a box, it highlights it and turns like the white text blue, but doesn't treat it the same as if you hover over it. And when you hover over it, it says white text pink box. But this, if it's tabbed over, I get blue text to show it's highlighted. But if I hover over it, it gets replaced with all white text. Let's mark that in. Again, the thing, my process is all very I don't like to say, like, I will mark down everything. My theory is it can then be passed with the team, product owners, the people who have decision-making powers, responsibility to be like, this is what I found. What would you like to do with the information? Because not all of these issues are going to have equal impacts. They might go, this isn't costing us money, or it's very niche, we're not going to do with it, or yeah, this needs to be fixed immediately, it's going to break the site. I won't have all the facts. I'm an information finder and presenter. I'm not necessarily a decision maker in this regard. So Lisa and Richard in the chat are talking about testing something which is new domain. A random bit of facts about me in a long time ago. From 2000 to 2004, which is terrifying to think. That was 23 to 19 years ago. I worked at Games Workshop. So for those of you unaware, they are a very big... They are a global company. They're very UK based, and they make miniatures primarily aimed at teenage boys and older men nowadays. With various war games, fantasy, sci-fi, some Lord of the Rings, but yeah, so it's, whilst I don't know these exact products, the genre is one very close to me and my personal life. The contrast isn't great on the bottom right image there. I can see words but cannot read them. Red, green, colourblind. Yeah, the contrast on that image is not great. I will give you that, Betty. So I will mark down the what happens when you tab through to the boxes, and I will also mark down the... In fact, I can copy that image. I'll do it now before I forget. Contrasting on following image is not great. That did not work. I want to copy the image. Give me a copy of the image. You're not copying the image, right? I'm going to save the image as. Save it as. Unsupported image type. Oh, that might be why. Right. Red grass painting accessory. Right. Because I'm on Windows and I have to do a screenshot of the zone, Windows Shift S lets you do snipping within Windows without needing a separate tool. Boom. Accessories. So we say of the Discover Our Collections section. Discover Our Collections section. Comment from Benny, Games Workshop worth 3.76 billion, by the way. Yeah. See, Deborah's comment says she hasn't used a Windows machine in years. At the last place I worked at, I was given a MacBook to work on, whereas I am PC user through and through. So I was stumbling over usability issues because I was wanting to do button combinations that don't work on a MacBook compared to Windows. Like, I'm used to doing Windows something or other, or the different F keys on different pages doing things. I'm not used to having 15 F keys, for example, on a MacBook. Or, like, I was like, oh, I want to paste something. Okay, Control C, Control V. Nah, not on a MacBook. So yeah, I imagine if I was like, cool, I'm doing these things, they're like, how are you doing that? I'm doing it on Windows in a screenshot. How? I don't know Windows. And conversely, the same thing back again. Hi Meg, welcome to the chat tonight. It is busy in here tonight and it is lovely. I appreciate you all giving me support today because, yeah, it's great. If people are enjoying the kind of things I'm doing today, you can always reach out to me if you want some private work. If there is something public you would like to have me look at and do on a stream, feel free to get in touch. If you think I'm doing a fantastic job and I deserve, I would say a coffee, I don't drink coffee, a hot chocolate, then you can support me on Ko-Fi, because yeah, it's there and I'm currently between work. Right, where was I? Tabbing through. When tabbing through the homepage, selected, what are we calling them? View products? Yeah. Products buttons are highlighted in blue with blue text, but when hovered over with a cursor, the text changes blue. Tabbing behavior not the same as cursor behavior. Deborah sometimes uses testing bot at work to access Edge browser. I don't think I even have Edge installed on this. I'm a Chrome boy through and through. Right, so we'll tab through. Tab. Right, so eventually I can tell it's tabbed through to these, but I don't know. So painting accessories, it's now saying 2 thin coats and then turbo dork paints. So I think it's tabbing through to these images. Yeah, because these ones are called turbo dork. But it's not at all obvious. Then tab through to the image, search news, playtesting. I mean, I gotta click on a thing about playtesting. I'm a tester and I like playing things. So it tabs through all these legal things. So their options, so Facebook, Pinterest, Twitter. I tab into the box and then it tabs to the options. That's weird. So I tab, I get Exit23 games, designed by UWP. This is treated as a separate option. Something mysterious, and then powered by Shopify. So yeah, Richard was talking about... So yeah, Deborah commenting, no Mastodon or Bluesky links yet. I think it's because it's Mastodon's, it's quite scattered. Bluesky, they have a Bluesky. So I have been blueing? I don't know. Has the community determined a term for not tweeting when it's on Bluesky? I would say a bluey, but my growing up as an army kid background knows that they're a special kind of letter that is used in the UK Armed Forces. Right. Because Deborah is here, and Deborah is a wonderful person, and she's done fantastic things with Ministry of Testing, which I also need to shout out because Richard's here. I have got Wave, and I will wave this page, and I'm curious how angry it gets. I mean, it's not promising when you've got 11 errors, 16 contrast errors, 79 alerts, some features, some structural elements. So we're missing some alternative text. Why is clicking this just slowly dragging me up to the top? Okay. So the red grass painting accessories has nothing. Why are some highlighted and some not? This is where it's usually hidden in your page. Disable stars to see it. I'm missing a form label main navigation. Okay. I have an empty button. What's an empty button? A button is empty or has no value text. Ah, so it doesn't tell you what this button is meant to do. Bluey is indeed a character on a kids' TV show now as well, Deborah. Yes, it is an Australian show. I have a son. He's never really watched it. However, apparently my niece absolutely loves it. It's meant to be one of the better ones as well. Complete distraction for what it is. Let's see. So let's have a look at some of our areas. Empty links. Empty links are never good. It says empty link, but then it takes me somewhere, so I don't know what it means. Let's have a quick... Right, let's re-wave. Because on the upside it's a super easy thing to do. So a link contains no text. Ah, so it's not telling people where it's going. Right. Contrast errors. This is... Thanks for that box. You can't even see what it is. Oh, it's because it's highlighted. Oh, this is not great for them. What? Right. What I will do is I will just save a summary of waving wave results for homepage, and I'll let that speak for itself to Chris. Right, so, and if we de-style it, oh god, that looks horrible. The pictures, however, look massive. Those are some giant pictures. The ground is lava. The site is broken in some ways. Big white space there. That's strange. I'm impressed that you spent £40 or more for shipping. It was apparently completely fine at the bottom. Don't even know what they're meant to be. Right. Let's finish waving this for now. We're halfway through. Let's have a crack at it. So, we get a bunch of options. So if I click, I have the option of fantasy football, paints, relic blade, other, news. Oh, I was going to look at playtesting because you can't get to it at the top. It only has it at the bottom. So how do I get to playtesting other than, is that the only option? Okay. Why is it all really, really pale? I mean, black versus white, the contrast in this is superb. How big are the renders natively versus rendered? Low times could be severely increased with smaller images. Not sure, in all honesty, Richard. I'm not sure how an easy way to do that. I imagine I'd need dev tools. Unfortunately, as I mentioned before, because dev tools don't get shown because it's outside of the browser session. They don't come through in the stream unless I change what I'm streaming, and I'm still getting to grips with OBS, so I potentially could do it, but you wouldn't see things, or I might break it, so I'm not trying to do around with that kind of stuff at the minute. So if you want to get, if I would want to playtest, name, country, email address. I mean, you've got name and email as a separate thing here anyway. Prior playtest experience, style of game you prefer, style of game you have the most experience playing. This feels too close because if I hover over the text, they overlay each other. Which isn't ideal. Love testicle. I do like. If this was a closed site, I would absolutely love wrecking this. So because of Elizabeth Hendrickson's Explore It book, where she talks about she likes pasting in oh no, the name escapes with it. Huckleberry Refin, that's it. Which I used to do at first, and then thought there are some very not appropriate words in there these days. So I went online and got the text for the gym. So I got Alice in Wonderland, because Alice in Wonderland, I mean, I haven't ever properly read it. I've watched the Disney version. Doesn't use the same kind of language as Huckleberry Finn. So if I need to like paste in a really big field, or to see what the limits are in a field, I will use a novel. In the past, I wanted to use War and Peace, but my browser would always hang with a book that big. And so if my browser isn't good, I know there's no point testing a text field. But yeah, try filling in forms and text fields overall. Probably one of the things I love the most testing, just because I know, because of years of doing some database and SQL testing, I always get curious, does the front end and the back end match? And if the front end sends something too big to the back end, does it break? Which I was having in my last stream 2 weeks ago, where I was getting 500 errors display through the front end, so the user could discover the name of different columns and limits and so forth. Does it send it to the back and it just trims off the edge? If it can only hold 100 characters and you send 1,000, it will keep the first 100 characters, but the user might not know. And if, say, that's your password field and it's not explicit there is a character limit on a password, they might be trying to send a password that's too big and then their password doesn't work. So yeah, how do you get to playtesting apart from that? Like, help for hobbyists. Like, news is at the top, search is at the top. If I go to search, that's not good. So if I press the search button at the top corner, I get this result, and I get a query of just show me everything. They have 32 pages. But if I press search down here, I get nothing. So we have a difference in behavior. Pressing the search icon next to the search bar, returning everything? Question mark. Versus the search link at the bottom of the home page, returning nothing. I'd say it's like, so if I press the icon, I get that as the address. Search icon, URL, returns, boop. Search link, returns, boop. Just search. There was or you can edit the validation on the front end. I think, is it, oh, I hate it. There's something that I've not used in so long where I end up forgetting the name of it. But there was a tool we had, Burp Suite, years ago in my finance lesson days. I would use Burp Suite where if I wanted to put something to the front that was valid and then interrupt it, was really good for testing, because is all your valid protection on the front end and can be interrupted, or is it afterwards as well? And even if they try to bypass the front end validation, your back end validation helps protect you, and yeah, all sorts of things. I probably just feel eventually I need to start increasing my range of tools so I can just start showing off different tools and stuff on here. So yeah, so we have a whole pile of links. So if I click on the top ones, do I get a high level? So if I click on fantasy football, I get fantasy football, I get a bunch of options. It defaults to showing me all the fantasy football, and apparently it defaults to best selling. Why best selling? It featured as first. I mean, this is probably a Shopify thing of how they do it. But what's the order determined, and why is... So the best selling thing is apparently a sold out product. Maybe it sold out so well, that's why it's sold out. That doesn't have an alternate image. This does. It changes. That doesn't. This does. See products. Yep, so that all changes. Everything's on sale. These are sold out. Is that all the fantasy football? That can't be all the fantasy football, because then that means there's like, what? 4, 8, 12, 14 items? Of which, what? 1, 2, 3 of them are sold out. That can't be everything. Or are there just nothing for certain things? So I can select them from here. It does update the web address at the top and defaults to sort by best selling. If you sort by feature, apparently that's sort by manual. I'm curious how that's a manual sort. So Rich has commented, there is an example of the floating cell logo I mentioned. I don't think it helps. So the image width, it lines up with the width of the image box. It doesn't help that their image that they're starting with is narrower, and so it looks, yeah, it does look like it floats, and I can see where it's, yeah, the image sizes make it look out of place, with the image is shorter or wider than the card space. Yeah, because it's defaulted to the corner of the space if the entire space isn't being used. Yeah, like sale, but there's just a sale on nothingness. Sale box on items can appear to be floating where the image isn't using the maximum space available. And then we can go e.g. When it's a really small picture like that, it makes it even bigger, doesn't it, Richard? Whee! Tiny! So if I'm selecting accessories, I get accessories. So I can't select accessories here. I can select, say, Amazonians. So I get collections Amazonians there, but if I collect fantasy football and then I say Amazon, so why do I get less options there versus, we're going to open a new tab. And again, because of the whole I am on a PC with mouse things, I like to check external things like this, open a new tab and don't take your brand suicide. I will have a look at that after what I'm currently in the middle of, Deborah. I will keep that in mind. So if I click on fantasy football and then select Amazons, I get that. But if I say show me your Amazons, I get more. I get a bunch of stuff that aren't in Amazons. So I get fantasy football, and I've said show me your Amazons. Is this only teams? But that's not a team, so it can't be a team only thing, right? Alright, so selecting fantasy football and then a team shows different products options when selecting the team directly from the banner at the top. selecting fantasy football and then Amazon. Is it Amazon or Amazonians? Yeah, Amazon. Shows 2 products. Whereas Amazon from top banner shows, where are we on? 4, 8, 10. Shows 10 products. Inconsistent behavior and could risk hiding products from customers due to difference in user journey. Is it because there's sale? But then not everything, no, because not everything on all fantasy football was on sale, was it? No. So it can't even be because it's a sale thing, because they're not. Right. For Deborah, I will have a quick look at the socials. So, Exit23 Games on Facebook. We have a new tab. Fantastic. I also have a plugin that looks for image descriptions and is not happy with what they're uploading there. Let's see. Go to Instagram. Instagram is opening in a new tab. Da-da. Pinterest. Do people still use Pinterest? They have some things. They have a verified merchant. It wants me to log in. It has apparently logged me in, and now I see a bunch of stuff. And then finally, if I go to Twitter, it opens up in a new tab. So there you go, Deborah. I can see you are whirring in the chats. They are opening in new tabs. If I click on the links to themselves, it takes them back to themselves. Ugh. These are all the payment options they take. I can't tell if I'm hovering over these, if it's showing me the text. The downside to be doing this on my phone. So if I'm hovering over, say, Amex, it is saying American Express. I don't know if that's coming through on the stream. Interesting to see the bird icon. It depends what provides the icons, and if it's down to them who do it, if it's underwater pistol. If I click on this, is this so your social medias, Deborah, they open up a new tab. If you click on who made the site, that takes you directly to them. It doesn't open designed by in a new tab. And what about Shopify? But Shopify does. Interesting. Inconsistent more than anything. So Chris founded Exit23 Games. There you go. Right, so I was noticing a difference between selecting fantasy football and an option versus the option. Right, I wonder if Turbo Dork does a similar thing. So we're seeing all their paints. With the Strange, you can hover over it, click on it, image changes. Oh, I thought for a second there wasn't an image there. I think it's because I'm moving around so fast it's getting blurry. We have so much stuff that we need to see next. Okay, so we get page equals 2. Right, is it all? Does page equal all do something? Oh, it takes me back to page 1. I'm sure there's something for trying to see if you can limit stuff. I think it might be on where you say, I want to see specific stuff. So up here I've got turbo shifts, metallics, paint shifts, paint sets with its own tab option. And the thing, remember, we couldn't, if I'm hovering over these, I can't, oh. So if I've got it, whoop. So because I'm tabbed over it, hovering over it, I can tab through to them. But if I'm not, I can't tab through to them. That's not great. And I'm pressing, if I'm hovering over it, I'm pressing space. Oh, sorry, I've tabbed to it. Oh, it's a sign of being the thing. If I press enter, I want paint sets, volume 4. Right, so I tab through it and I hit enter and I can get through to them. But the only way I can get to these drop downs. So the yellow, if I, sorry, they've turned blue if I'm in that section. Oh, I don't like how these images are done, and the image. Oh, I'm waiting for Richard to freak out about the images and to be upset about how they are not the same size in the chat. Oh, Chris, you gotta do something about these images, man. Sizing is hard. Sizing is 100% not great. Yeah, I gotta note that one down. Image sizing for is inconsistent. It's unpleasant, but it makes me not trust the site, which is never a great thing. Like, you can go, ooh, it's secure, but we know that isn't the be-all and end-all of a site being secure. It's inconsistent. And one chat comment remarked it made them feel it is insecure. With this type of exploring for more into usability testing or testing design, not that it matters, it's all important. I'd say it's part of the problem is because I've not given myself a specific charter. I am going all over the place, but it's also I wanted to try lots of little different things in the hour I'm giving myself. So I would say, like, I might have a exploratory charter to say, right, I want to look at the usability, I want to look at the links, I want to go is the images all lining up and so forth. So I would probably have a specific themes for my exploratory testing. Yeah, just because if you like, I'd say I'm successfully, unsuccessfully demonstrating. If you're trying to look for everything, you get pulled in a million directions. But I imagine it, like, if someone went, Lee, we need you to test this thing, they'd probably give me more than an hour. And if it was to test an entire website, I don't know how much they would really expect me to find in 1 hour. Like, I'm not saying I'm trying to break it, because again, this is a live site with business functionality, so I don't want to like order 100 products and they're like, ooh, we've got 100 orders for this thing, and it's a joke. But at the same time, I do want to go, are there things that could be improved with the sites? Are there things that they haven't considered, or maybe things were fine when they built it and something has broken it and they're not needing to go into it often? Like, I don't like I can use these images, but even if I ignored the difference in sizing, I don't like like the faded image behind, like it's got a thin grey screen over it. I don't like the look of it. I feel, especially with how these are really like bright pink and oranges and so forth. So why on earth have they tried to mute those images? And it feels like it's missing out on what you're trying to sell. Yeah, I feel that's not ideal. Although I have forgotten, I need to remark that the only way to tab into these options is by having hovered over it first. The only way to tab to drop down categories in the banner is hovering over them with a cursor first. These cannot be tabbed to otherwise. See example below. Makes it hard to see what they are and read the text. Yeah. Well, it's also like, say other and then product collections. It's like, pick, is this other or product collections? Like, other doesn't narrow it down enough. War colors. I feel like, complete tangent, I feel like I know why these are called Nostalgia 88, because these look like the really old Games Workshop paints. Which is probably the point. Nothing at all to do with the testing, but I thought I'd just randomly point out from my perspective why I think the bottles look the way they do and the styling. And yeah. Thanks, Richard. I appreciate you being here. Enjoy the rest of your evening. I see, news. We haven't looked at news. So there was a bit of a gap in their news. Again, not a bug, more just down. It could be down to like business priorities, things going on. So we had June 2023, April 23, April 23, November 2020. No news is good news? Bad news? I don't know. So they have different categories. It does feel like there's no way to get to these categories without the top. Like, you've got news, but before you go into it, there's nothing saying if it's a review, an article. You've got news, Blood Bowls. Why is it Blood Bowls and then Blood Bowl? I'm just being petty because I know the actual time is Blood Bowl. Blood Bowl or Blood Bowls? The downside to the website being white is it just absolutely hides on the background of Google Docs as well. I know there's a thing for putting stuff around it, but yeah. Coming from Lisa. This makes me miss weekend testing and weeknight testing, or was it weekend and weeknight testers? I mean, that's also partly why I like doing this, and I like the idea of like once a week as a stream for me feels manageable. I'm not trying to do too much. I'm not going to risk burning myself out, and like a Tuesday feels like a nice time in the week for people to be able to attend something like this, like if it's a Friday evening, a lot of people have stuff on, whether it's they're socializing with friends, they're going out, they don't want to be thinking about work/industry related things. Monday, they're still catching up for the weekend. Whereas I'm like, Tuesday's a nice time, and Tuesday Night Tester, TNT, it feels like punchy. But it does mean if I wanted to do extra things going forwards, where they might not be specifically testing related things or different style of stream, it gives me that flexibility. But if other people wanted to do a similar thing, I mean, ideally not at this time slot on a Tuesday, but otherwise, go for broke. If this encourages other people to give this a go themselves, or to reach out, to collaborate. So for example, in the chat, Lisa Crispin is in the chat and has suggested that the two of us collaborate and have a look at her site, which I want to do, and I definitely want to do at some point, Lisa. My main concern, in all honesty, right now is because I haven't got a webcam, I feel that's the kind of thing where it would be good for both of us to be on camera and to stream, but I'm still getting the hang of OBS, and I'd need to screen share what we're doing and OBS show what we're doing, and I want to be more confident with the tooling so that when we actually do this, it's done well and there isn't the user error of me struggling with the tool. But it will happen. I'm glad I'm also feeling better this week, Deborah, as well, because start of like the weekend and into like Monday last week, I was feeling to me was feeling like flu, and I hope it was, but who knows these days. And so if I was still feeling bad on the Tuesday, I wouldn't have done a very good stream, and if I wouldn't work feeling like that, then I don't want to stream like that, because to me this is me working for myself. So taking care of myself, and I imagine people understand and would do the same. I feel like I'm kind of rambling, but it is nearly out of time. So I'm just wanting to like nicely wrap things up. So for those of you who have been here, I hope you've enjoyed the stream. If you are watching this back, it should show the chat real time as it happened. So whilst I have been giving chat shout outs, people can, when they watch this back, the chat should be there. I believe it has in the past videos, so they can see as people are commenting, it comes along. I love how I have had people in the chat, people I know as well as don't know, joining in, as I feel having chat definitely makes this more engaging for me, because with streaming I find I get a different energy compared to when I make a normal YouTube video. With that, I try to make it's slick, I can edit it, I can tweak things if they're not right, whereas with this I can't. If something goes wrong, I got to live with it, but I get to bounce off the chat. I get ideas, I get suggestions from Deborah about like, okay, do the social media links open a new tab, let's find out. I can't get that interaction with a video. I might get a comment and something I could try later on, but with this, it is, it's nice, and it helps me feel part of the testing community, because the testing community is fantastic. If you have a website, or it doesn't necessarily have to be a website, I have been chatting with someone where they are a software tester who is learning to do some coding, and they are making a little project. And an idea we have discussed is I publicly test their little project. It will probably involve me like downloading some particular software. If it's an app, a way around to do app on desktop, to be worked out. But it doesn't have to be a website. It's just websites are very easy to access, very easy to show off on YouTube. I want it something where I can show off what I'm doing. if you so if you have something or you're involved with a company, so like in this case, this was a company Chris has set up where he's given me permission to look at. Gemhill, in my first stream, they gave me access to test their website, whereas my second stream was a website designed for practicing testing on. So yeah, it's either a website you own / control, have the ability to give permission on, or it is a public site designed to be tested on. I have had someone ask in the past, why am I restricting myself in this way? And if I found an exploit that could cause harm, I'd see it as like I have inadvertently attacked that website. It isn't good. I also see it as like my personal work ethic of I want people to trust that I will only test things I have permission to. If someone for some reason say I don't want you to test this, then I wouldn't test that. If they went, Lee, you can test my site, but don't test this bit of it because I know it is broken or it could lead to something else, cool, I'll ignore that because I have been given a directive. If you've enjoyed my videos, you can ko-fi me. There is a link in the bottom corner of the screen. It's when I have to look over to my phone because the downside to the size of my desk, I can't have two monitors. If you want to get in contact with me, I'm on Twitter, the Pirate Tester. I'm on Bluesky, the Pirate Tester, and then all the Bluesky stuff. I am on LinkedIn of Lee Marshall. You can email me, thepiratetester@gmail.com. I try to be very solid on my personal branding to the point of having it recently commented on. So yeah, if you have something you'd like me to look at, or potentially some pairing, but as I commented regarding Lisa, that is a more distant thing that I won't be able to do directly, feel free to get in touch. Otherwise, that is the end of today's session. I hope you have enjoyed it. I don't know exactly what website I'm going to be doing next week, but I will be on. I haven't got anything planned, no family or holiday or so forth to stop this. So I will be back. This is 8 PM UK time. We're on British Summer Time. So this is UTC +1. Because of the number of time zones, I'm not even going to say I was like this in the time zone. We have access to the internet. It can make sure you get the accurate time zone. I put the event on LinkedIn. You'll be able to see future events on my YouTube channel as well, so we can make sure you've got the date and notifications for those as well. I hope you all have a wonderful day, regardless of your time zone, and I hope to see you again. Thank you very much.